Hey guys, Owen Keeley here, performance coach, international athlete and national record holder. At this stage, I've helped hundreds of high performers over the last decade, helping them to lose fat, build muscle and optimize their day-to-day energy and performance. And after being fully immersed and obsessed with this industry for almost 10 years now, you start to see very clear patterns. One of the biggest lessons that I've learned is this. When it comes to fat loss, maintaining your results or building muscle, your calories and your protein targets are the non-negotiables. Once those are set, the real goal becomes adherence. The science is compliance, just like Stan Efferding says. So today we are going to go through the nutrition golden principles. Think of these as simple, practical rules that make hitting your calories and protein dramatically easier without overthinking or overcomplicating your food. So these are the principles that I follow myself. They're the ones that keep clients consistent, full, energized, and progressing regardless of the phase. Principle number one is going to be to plan your meals. The big thing with this is that we don't need strict meal prep, or we don't need a certain amount of meals per day. There is no perfect number of meals and perfect timing of meals per day. The perfect approach is the one that you can actually stick to. And as cringy as it sounds and cliche as it sounds, it is very, very true. So whether the perfect approach for you is 2 meals a day, 1 meal a day, or 4 meals a day, we want to think about picking a structure that we can stick to consistently 7 days a week, so that we don't have to constantly think about nutrition and figure out when I'm going to fit this meal in, what I'm going to have for this meal, how much of this I'm going to have. We just know this is the backbone. This is what happens on autopilot when I'm not thinking. And then from this base structure, we can have variation. So from this base structure, we can have meals off plan. From this base structure, we can change meals or tweak them slightly. That's completely okay, but we need a core structure to deviate from. Without this, we're always going to feel frantic and we're always going to feel like we're all over the place. So start simple. Pick a number of meals per day that is manageable for you. For most people, the sweet spot is going to be between 2 and 4 meals per day. Pick times that you're going to have those meals in. Is it necessary that we eat at the exact same time every single day? No. But is it likely that just picking a time to have each of those meals and trying to stick more or less to that time each day will help to reduce the amount of thinking that we have to do and will help to increase our compliance? Yes, 100%. So this is where we want to start. How many meals a day are we going to have, and roughly what times are we going to have those meals at? Principle number 2 is going to be to have protein in every meal. So we want to be aiming to hit our daily protein goal each and every day. That's the number one priority when it comes to protein intake. Apart from this, we want to try and distribute that intake relatively evenly throughout the day. So again, if we are, say, 180 pounds and we are eating 2 meals a day, that means we're going to be eating about 90 grams of protein in each of those meals. If we're having 4 meals a day, that means that we want to be having roughly a quarter of 180 grams of protein 4 times a day. Keep it simple. Again, it's okay to go slightly above or below meal to meal. The main thing here is that you just hit that daily protein intake, and making sure that each meal includes protein is going to make this a lot easier for you to do. So this kind of ties in with our last point, that when we're planning out our meals, we just make sure that we have a protein source included in each and every one that we are having. Number 3 is going to be to prioritize whole foods. Okay, with whole foods, we want to think about single ingredients. We want to think about there's basically no wrapper or no label on them. So these are things like fruit, veg, meat, potatoes, oats, eggs, yogurt. Whole foods are going to keep you fuller. They're going to control our cravings. They're going to reduce our calorie intake naturally. And they're also going to give us a lot more bang for our buck in terms of a micronutrient density standpoint. Number 4 is going to be to keep it simple. So when you're planning out your meals, when you're planning out your structure, pick meals that you actually enjoy here. Not ones that you think are the perfect meal to lose fat or build muscle or whatever it is, or that you see your favorite athlete or bodybuilder eating. Pick meals that you enjoy, okay? Ones that aren't overly elaborate, ones that aren't too time consuming, but ones that still taste good. So a simple formula for this is that we have our protein, we have our fruit and or veg, and we have our carb source in a meal. 9 times out of 10, once we pick a source for each of those that we enjoy, we include it in a meal, we hit our caloric goal, we hit our protein goal, we are going to be good to go. And this ties on to principle number 5, which is going to be to include fruit and or veg with every meal. Again, is it a cold hard rule that we need to do this 100%? No. But doing it for most meals is going to mean that we're going to get in more volume of food, we're going to get in more fiber, more micronutrients, and we're just going to be fuller throughout the day with steadier energy levels. So it is going to help to reduce our cravings. It is going to help to stabilize our digestion, and it's just a nice one to have in the back of your mind when you are, again, creating your plan. Number 6 is going to be to reduce friction, not rely on motivation. So we want to think about how we reduce friction here. And how we reduce friction is we design your environment. So keep your fridge and your cupboards stocked with the foods needed for your go-to meals. That structure that we've come up with together with your meals, the foods that we're having, the quantities, make sure that we actually have those foods in your presses, in your fridge. Doing 1 to 2 big food shops per week will really help to remove reactive eating and snacking, and just make sure that you always have the things that are needed stocked up and ready to go. So even for me personally, I have 2 days a week that I go and I do a big food shop. I have this scheduled into my calendar, so I actually purposely make time for this. And this just ensures that I stay on track a lot easier than, trying to run around, find time to get a food shop, then I have to go and prep the foods. Schedule it into your calendar, make it easier for yourself. The foods are there in your press, they're in the fridge, they're ready to go. You're going to be more likely to comply. If you are very tight on time, some good strategies to help eliminate that will be, number 1, grocery delivery services. So depending on the country that you're in, nearly every country has this where you can actually get your groceries delivered to your house. If you are working from home or there's someone going to be at home, just think about, again, locking this into your calendar, and maybe you have a 10-minute or 30-minute slot where you at least order the food to the house twice a week. Again, bring a structure in, bring a system in. It's going to make it easier to do, and it's going to make it less likely that you don't comply. Another method that we can make use of to save time and energy is going to be a meal prep service. If you do want specific suggestions or recommendations for me, because again, there's so many different ones depending on where you are located, do feel free to get in touch and I can suggest some. There are some great quality meal prep services out there that will actually give you the specific quantities, the macronutrient, calorie, protein values of the meals. They'll put in the ingredients that you want and they will deliver it straight to your door so it's there and it's ready to go. These are a real hack that make life a lot easier. They take out a ton of time needed to go and shop for the food, pick the food, and then prep the food. So if you are very tight on time, this is one that is a little bit more expensive, but it is well worth it to save on that time. Okay, principle number 7 is going to be proactive with your what we call red zones. So what red zones are is basically they're times in the day, in the week, where we are more likely to fall off track. Okay, so the typical red zones that we have would be, number 1, evenings. If you tend to get hungry in the evening, if you have cravings in the evening, we want to be aware of this. Number 2, weekends. So we want to think about, okay, weekends, there's typically less structure there. There might be more meals out there. Next is going to be travel. Then we have social events. So these are higher risk moments. And the big thing that we want to do with these is, like I was saying, we want to be proactive. So we want to have a mini plan in advance, okay? So that we adjust the day's calories so that we can still hit our daily caloric goal and we can still hit our daily protein goal. That is the most important thing. I've done a separate resource on this. If you haven't seen or got it yet, feel free to access it in the content library or just shoot me a message. I'll pop it over to you straight away. But basically with this, we want to think about planning ahead so that you can still have meals out, you can still have drinks out, but that we are still hitting the daily caloric and protein goal, if not the weekly average caloric goal. Okay, again, we'll go into this in detail on a case-by-case basis, but in general, we want to think about planning ahead and making sure that we are still checking off these 2 big rocks even on these days. And being proactive with it, again, just improves the chances that we will stay on track when we come to these more difficult times. Number 8 is going to be to hydrate properly. So we want to be aiming to get in about 30 to 40 mils of water per kilogram of body weight per day. So for myself, if I weigh about 80 kilograms, this means that I'd be getting in about 2.4, 3.2 liters of water every single day. This helps us to manage hunger, it reduces our snacking, it stabilizes energy, and it supports our training massively as well. A pro tip with your hydration as well is to actually not just drink water. So especially when we're getting in the majority of our nutrition from whole foods, from single ingredient foods, we need to be getting in some salt with our water as well so that our body can actually absorb this, it can retain it, and it can utilize it. So think about, first of all, in the morning, adding just a pinch of salt to your water, and then also around training. We want to think about adding about 1/4 of a teaspoon to a liter of water that we can drink throughout our training. This is a small action that can have a huge impact, so definitely give it a go and let me know again if you have any questions. And then number 9 is going to be to keep the process proactive and not reactive. Okay, so we don't want to be waiting until you're starving, stressed, and or low energy to decide what you eat. We want to try and foresee those circumstances ahead of time wherever possible so that we can make better quality decisions ahead of time, thus leading to an easier day and again, improved likelihood that we stay on track. The first step in becoming proactive is actually just building up an awareness of what we're currently doing and what's working and what's not working. From here, either taking note of what is working and what isn't working and looking for trends and patterns in that, or just feeding back the information to me in your weekly check-ins is how we are going to assess and then address certain patterns or trends that are happening and then implement strategies and changes to offset these. Because again, every problem has a solution, and once we can measure and track it, we're able to then implement change and track the effects that it's having. Okay, so those are the nutrition golden principles, simple habits that make your calories and protein much easier to hit and that make your days far more predictable. If you do follow these consistently, you will feel fuller, you will feel more energized, you will progress more effectively, and you will be in way more control, no matter what phase you're in. If this did help, drop a like or a rating. It helps more than you know, and do share it with someone who gets overwhelmed with nutrition. It might help them more than you know too. If you do want a personalized structure built around your schedule, your lifestyle, and your goals, that's exactly what we do inside the Everyday Stronger method. Feel free to drop me a message, an email, or book a call in below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.